When a homeless boy warns a billionaire not to step forward, the billionaire's life takes an unexpected turn. What seemed like a random act becomes a deep unraveling of secrets, a hidden past, and a connection that rewrites destinies. The wind in Ashwick had teeth at night. It was the kind of cold that crept into the bones of the forgotten and laughed in the faces of the privileged. A cruel, biting December evening where golden lights from penthouse suites sparkled above the dark alleys like taunts from another world. Down on 5th and Eldridge, just past the shuttered metro station, a boy sat bundled in a filthy gray sleeping bag. His hair was matted, his shoes mismatched. A small paper cup stood beside him, empty. His name was Elijah, though no one had called him that in months. To most people, he was just another blur on the sidewalk, a background detail to ignore while scrolling through their lives. But Elijah saw everything. The city, its rhythms, its lies. And tonight, something was off. It wasn't the usual garbage truck delay or the smell of leaking gas from the alley pipes. It was something beneath the ground, a hum like a memory trying to break free. He had lived here for months. The old metro station had been dead for decades. But tonight, it felt awake. He hugged his knees tighter. Across town, in a towering glass office wrapped in LED screens, Vincent Harrow stared out at the skyline. CEO, billionaire, tech innovator, media darling. He had it all. And yet, he hadn't slept in 3 nights. 3 letters. No return address. Each typed on yellowed paper with words clipped from different magazines. We know what you were. You were not born. Come to where it began. Vincent hadn't told anyone. Not his PR team, not his security chief, not even Natalie, his head of legal, who would have told him to burn them. But he couldn't. Something about those words clawed into his chest. He didn't remember much from before he turned 10. A hospital stay, a fire, then foster care. But this was something else. And tonight, against every reasonable instinct, Vincent told his driver to stop near the old metro station. I won't be long, he'd said. The boy saw him before he saw the crack. Vincent Harrow walked fast like a man trying to outrun his own mind. Black wool coat, leather gloves, polished shoes, stepping where most people wouldn't even drive. And he was heading straight for the broken tile. Elijah's breath caught. That tile, he never sat near it, never stepped on it. There was something beneath. He knew it. The rats wouldn't go near it. His blanket would go damp if placed too close. And now, this man was about to step dead center on it. Don't stand there! Elijah screamed, lunging forward. Vincent froze. The scream echoed across the block. A crow took off nearby. Then crack. A sharp snapping sound. The ground beneath Vincent's foot crumbled inward by inches. Not a sinkhole. Not a cave-in, but something hollow, engineered. They both looked down. A perfect square panel of stone had fractured, revealing a black void beneath. Stairs, descending into darkness. Vincent stumbled back. What the hell, he muttered. Elijah stared. It opened. You knew. I've been here for months. That tile's wrong. The animals avoid it. I just felt something. Vincent's mind spun. That feeling in his stomach, the one he'd ignored for years, returned like a punch to the ribs. He looked at the stairs. I'm going down. Elijah blinked. You shouldn't go alone. Why? The boy didn't answer. He just stepped forward. I'm coming with you. The stairs creaked under their steps. Elijah stayed close behind Vincent, every step echoing down a forgotten tunnel that hadn't seen light in decades. The air grew colder the deeper they went, thick with dust and something else metallic, like blood or rusted machines. Neither of them spoke. The light from Vincent's phone cut a narrow path in the dark, revealing cracked walls lined with old cables and pipes. Along the way, strange markings appeared, symbols etched into stone. Not graffiti, not recent, more like technical codes, instructions. Finally, the stairwell opened into a vast underground chamber. It wasn't natural. Rows of desks, shattered screens, tables with restraints, and along the far wall, photographs. Dozens, black and white. Elijah squinted. Is that you? Vincent stepped forward. He felt like he was walking through his own grave. One photo in particular showed a young boy, no older than 6, pale, cold eyes, labeled 047, subject Vincent H., trial phase 3. Vincent's legs went weak. I don't remember this place. You were a subject? Elijah asked. Vincent picked up a dusty file lying beneath the photo. Looks like I was. They moved deeper into the chamber, past overturned chairs and shattered glass. Elijah found old notebooks. All the writing was clinical. Coded. Cold. Phase 3 resulted in partial memory suppression. Reintegration after failure expected to be unstable. Subject 047 exhibits self-correcting logic and advanced stress adaptation. No triggers detected yet. Vincent shook as he read. His hands weren't shaking from fear but recognition. Something buried deep was clawing to the surface. He opened a locked drawer with a snap. Inside was a sealed bag, perfectly preserved. Inside that his childhood bracelet. A blue rubber band with white beads. He stared at it like it was a ghost. I lost this when I was a kid. I woke up in a hospital. They told me I fell downstairs. Elijah glanced at him. Maybe they lied. Another file lay beneath the bracelet. 047. Awakening delayed. Watch closely. Vincent stepped back. I was part of something. Something no one should have survived. A click. Metal against metal. Then silence. Vincent raised the light again. Someone had moved in the next room. Not quickly. Deliberate. Smooth. Elijah froze. Vincent stepped forward, holding the phone like a weapon. The corridor beyond was lined with sealed doors, many rusted shut. At the end of the hallway, one door stood slightly open. Elijah whispered, "This is a bad idea." Vincent didn't argue, but something was calling him. They reached the door. Inside was a much smaller room cleaner. Empty, except for a terminal. The screen flickered to life on its own. "Welcome back, 047. A voice, electronic but humanized, spoke softly from the wall. Subject Harrow. Protocol reintegration initiated. Memory wall breached. Countdown to phase 4. Active. Elijah backed away. What does that mean? Vincent didn't answer, because he didn't know, but he was starting to remember. Vincent's fingers hovered over the terminal keys. The light from the screen illuminated his face, revealing something Elijah hadn't seen before. Fear. Real fear. Vincent typed in the only thing that came to mind. What is phase 4? The screen paused, then responded. Phase 4. Conscious reclamation. Trigger. Proximity to site of origin and exposure to catalyst subject. Catalyst identified. Elijah, 047B. Vincent turned to the boy. What did it just say? Elijah stepped back, shaking his head. That's not my name. You're listed here. You're a catalyst. Whatever they did to me, they did something to you too. Elijah's mouth moved, but no sound came out. His eyes watered. He shook his head again, faster now. No, they said I wasn't part of anything. I escaped. I wasn't like the others. You were meant to meet me, Vincent whispered. All of this was planned. The lights flickered. A loud thunk echoed from somewhere deeper below. The system had awakened something. Something old and unfinished. The hallway outside was now bathed in pulsing red light. Emergency systems somehow still operational, flashed warnings in digital voice. Vault seal compromised. Memory sync pending. 047, please report to isolation room A. Vincent grabbed Elijah's wrist. We're leaving. Now. But the corridor shifted. The walls. The light. The very temperature. Elijah suddenly grabbed his head and screamed. I see it all. He dropped to his knees. Experiments, needles, screaming. I remember them locking me in a white room. I wasn't homeless. I was running from here. Vincent dropped beside him, trying to calm him. But then he remembered too. The voice, the cold floor, the pain in his spine as machines recorded his thoughts. This wasn't just a lab. It was a prison. And they weren't just experiments. They were weapons. They found another room. Elijah guided them like he'd known it forever. Maybe he had. Inside was a wall-sized map, tubes and lines connecting dozens of dots across the city. Each dot marked a name. Many were crossed out, but 3 remained uncrossed. 047 Vincent Harrow. 047B Elijah. 000 Archive Keeper active. Elijah, Vincent said slowly, do you know who 000 is? Elijah shook his head, but then a monitor in the corner flickered on by itself. A man appeared, old, thin, bald, wired with breathing tubes. His eyes opened like he was waking from a dream. Subject 047 and 047B. You've both come home. Vincent stepped forward. Who are you? I'm the last one left. The one they never let die. My name was Dr. Kale. I kept your memories. I filed your fate. I watched you forget. And now I watch you return. The screen went black. A new door opened in the wall. Vincent and Elijah stared into the hallway beyond, lined with glass chambers. They stepped through, and what they saw turned their blood to ice. The corridor was colder, now unnaturally so. Rows of glass chambers lined the walls, each filled with translucent fluid and sealed tight. Some chambers were cracked, empty. Others still held figures unmoving, human but not alive. Vincent's breath caught as he passed one pod. Inside was a boy, no older than 12. He had Vincent's face, not exactly, slightly younger, but the same jawline, the same scar above the brow. Another chamber held a teenage girl with Elijah's eyes. What is this? Elijah whispered. Are these clones? Vincent found a control pad embedded in the wall. A label glowed beneath the screen. Project Mothermind. Vault 3A. Subject backup units Gen 1 to Gen 4. He scrolled through the log. Subject 047. Active clone cycle complete. Memory reset. Subject 047B. Catalyst clone. Memory drift unstable. Subject 000. Human core. Linked to all memory threads. Vincent stepped back, his mind unraveling. We were made. Elijah looked sick. I don't feel real. Vincent's voice dropped. We're not who we thought we were, but we're not finished either. The walls began to hum. Lights flickered again, this time blue. New symbols glowed on the floors, pulsing beneath their feet like veins. Elijah reached for the walls to steady himself. "I'm dizzy." "It's the system," Vincent replied. "It's trying to reconnect to us. It's pulling something from our minds." They stumbled into another chamber, a spherical room surrounded by screens. In the center, a large pillar rose from the floor. A heartbeat pulsed like a heart, deep, slow, steady. On the main screen, text began to scroll. Subjects 047 and 047B proximity sync, 98% complete. Neural pathways realigning. Emotional divergence narrowing. Activation in T-10 minutes. Elijah screamed again, clutching his temples. "Make it stop." Vincent grabbed him, eyes wide with rage and panic. "They're trying to override us. They want to bring back the control." Suddenly, a hidden hatch opened beside the pillar. Inside, a briefcase, plain, metallic, glowing slightly, a note stuck to the top. "Break the chain, or become them." They took the case and ran. The red lights returned. The hallway behind them began to close one wall at a time, sealing them in. They reached a ladder and climbed through tight vents. Vincent barely fit. Elijah guided him with instinct, as though he'd memorized the path in dreams. Finally, they emerged into another forgotten room, an old control hub, lined with ancient tape drives and mechanical keypads. The briefcase clicked open. Inside, a piece of tech unlike anything they had seen. A small, triangular device marked with strange characters. And a voice. Not electronic, real. A whisper. "You are not copies. You are not memories. You are versions. And only one version survives." Vincent turned to Elijah. "We're part of a chain. Each generation replaces the last." "This thing," Elijah said, pointing to the device, "it lets us choose which version continues." The screen behind them lit up. 2 lives, 1 memory thread. Initiate, merge, or terminate one. The countdown had begun. 10 o'clock, 9:59. They didn't speak as the countdown ticked on. Vincent stared at the screen. Elijah held the triangular device in shaking hands. Around them, the names began to appear, scrolling fast. Subject 001. Terminated. Subject 002. Terminated. Subject 003. Terminated. Subject 046. Terminated. Subject 047, active. Subject 047B, active. Elijah whispered, "All of them. Gone." Vincent moved to the console. "This place, it's a graveyard, not just of bodies, but of identities. They didn't just make us, they erased everyone else. But why keep us?" "Because we worked," Vincent said grimly. "We survived the resets. We became useful." On the final screen, a last entry loaded. Subject 000, the first mind. Status, dormant core, failsafe guardian. Warning. Merging 2 live subjects risks total system corruption. Proceed with caution. Vincent swallowed hard. "They want us to merge. 1 mind, 1 survivor. But which one?" Elijah asked. Vincent looked at him, then at the device. "We choose." The triangular device clicked as Elijah turned it. A projection lit up in the air, a series of glowing patterns, symbols that moved like language made of light. Vincent instinctively reached out. His fingers moved as if guided by muscle memory. Tap, turn, swipe. The device responded. Merge lock bypassed. Dual access approved. Emergency override initiated. Suddenly, the floor beneath them shifted. A massive section of wall began to slide open. Behind it, a tunnel. Bright, clean, metallic, alive. It looked nothing like the ruins they had just come from. Vincent's heart pounded. This wasn't just a lab. It was a filter, a test. Elijah nodded slowly. "And that tunnel, it leads to the ones who made the test." "We're not done yet," Vincent muttered. He grabbed the device and stared at it. "No more running. We're going to find out who did this." Elijah looked at him. "And we're going to finish it." Together, they stepped into the tunnel. As they walked through the corridor, soft lights lit up the path. The symbols on the walls were no longer hidden. They danced across the surface, reacting to their presence. Each one told a piece of a story neither boy had known, but both somehow understood. They weren't clones. They weren't prisoners. They were prototypes. And now they were free. At the tunnel's end stood a massive door. Its surface shimmered like water, with one phrase glowing in blood-red light. "Only the true one may enter." Vincent raised the triangular device, pulsed. The door split in 2. Inside was a chamber lined with rows of chairs, machines, a dome ceiling with stars projected overhead. And at its center, a single seat, throne-like, but clinical. An AI voice echoed, "Please confirm your designation, Vincent or Elijah." The countdown resumed. "Choose the true threat. The other will be archived forever." Vincent and Elijah exchanged one final look. This was it. Their past was no longer a mystery, but their future would be written in blood.